Hey, what's up? It's Comic95. So for this video, I want to talk about something that is very personal and private to discuss, and that is my period or my menstrual cycle. I'm very sorry, I live near the airport. Okay, now that it's quiet enough, let me do the math in it. So what, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I had extremely irregular periods for a minimum of about 5 years. I honestly think that since I first got my period when I was about 10 years old, almost 11, my periods were never regular. So really for about 10 years. I would try to briefly talk about this as much as possible, but for starts, let's use common sense here. I'm just sharing my story, my experience, what worked for me, what didn't work, and telling you what I went through. I am not a doctor. I cannot say 100% this will work for you, but if you're asking for my advice, this is what I would tell you as a family member or as a friend. So anyway, I am now 22 years old and I have a boyfriend. I am not trying to get pregnant at the time, but anyway, let's backtrack. So my periods have been extremely irregular. I had cycles that would last anywhere from 60 to 90 plus days. I counted. Crazy, right? So I had a long-term boyfriend there from when I was in high school, and we dated until early college days, although I was not a student, but he was for a moment at that time. So yeah. I noticed that my periods weren't really normal after I had, gotten to my sophomore year. My sophomore year at the beginning, they were somewhat normal. I'd have them almost every month, the 13th of every month, so pretty much the same day. But as I started dating my boyfriend, I got a job, we were hanging out all the time, and we were always eating fast food, always. And I love to eat. I absolutely love food. And so yeah, I ballooned. I was extremely fat. I was constantly, endlessly gaining weight. At my max weight, I was 236 pounds. Mind you, at this time, I was 16 years old. I'm 5'4". I'm 162 centimeters tall. So that's huge. And my boyfriend loved me regardless, didn't see a need for me to lose weight, and so it really didn't make me feel the need to either. And I've always been, teased and made fun of for both my appearance, and, my physical weight, etc. So I cared about my weight and I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't do as much as I could have or should have. Anyway, I joined the gym. I tried to diet and exercise, but I was exercising, but I was eating everything that I was burning. I absolutely love working out. I enjoyed going to the gym. Even the stuff that I was using wrong, I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, not gonna spend too much time talking about that. I talked to my mom and I went to go see a gynecologist. They did a gazillion tests on me. I had a pap smear, everything. They tested me for pregnancy, for STDs. And the really messed up part is I had been bleeding for so long. I was bleeding during my gynecology, whatever, visit. It was really embarrassing, but thankfully it was my mom's friend, Dr. Kathy. She was amazing. I confided in her, about personal stuff regarding my period, like how long I had been bleeding and, about sexual activity, etc. Things that I didn't even tell my mom at the time. Long story short, it was really hard and uncomfortable for me to talk to my mom about this because I'm pretty sure she thought, oh, why do you care about your periods? You're young, maybe she's trying to get pregnant with this stupid boy, and she was right, but that's not my point in this. I'm very grateful that I was not able to have my periods back then. It saved me in the long run, and I will talk about that in another video. Yes, I am old enough, brave enough, bold enough to admit I made some really dumb decisions as a teenager, and thankfully I did not have a period back then because I would have kids right now. Thank God I do not, because I would not be living here in Japan. I would not have the job that I have now, and more importantly, I wouldn't have my loving boyfriend who I plan to marry someday in the future. So anyway, yeah, so everything came back normal. There were no STDs, nothing abnormal. My thyroid was fine, And they thought anything could be possible. I was severely overweight. I was obese. I ate a lot. My diet wasn't healthy. I was sexually active. Anything could have been it, but there were no answers. I endlessly Google searched. I just simply could not figure out what was wrong with me. I tried dieting, and the weirdest thing was I took their recommendation, and my mom told me this too. She's a registered nurse. I tried taking multivitamins, and there's no proof, nothing that backs us up online, but I promise to God, multivitamins actually made my period start. Now, it didn't start the way that I wanted to. It actually caused me to bleed too much, and this is what led into my infinite cycles. When I would take multivitamins, the recommended amount, I think like 2 or 3 a day or whatever it was, it would cause me to bleed, and it would generally happen that month. And so I thought, oh, this is a great thing. Well, the problem is the bleeding wouldn't stop, and I couldn't find almost any information online backing up what I said. Everyone was like, oh, it's just in your mind. And I didn't post anything, but I read other people's comments and experiences that were similar to mine, and boy, did I have to dig to find this online. Long story short, I have no idea why. I guess my body is like this. Maybe some of you can relate, but when I took vitamins, it started my period, but then it wouldn't stop. So I ended up going back. And once again, everything was fine, so I just thought I was crazy. I learned after finally, I got a job downtown Chicago, and I had to walk, and I had to walk a lot. So I ended up losing a little bit of weight, and so I ended up, going down a little bit. And so I think I had maybe 1 or 2 periods for the whole year that were semi-normal, but my cycles are really long. They would be 8 or 10 days, etc. But they were never normal, and so I became concerned. I was like, do I have PCOS? Maybe I can't get pregnant, maybe I'm infertile. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and for me to be so young. So these problems were happening when I was 15, 16 years old, and they didn't go away. I was 18, 19, still having the same problems, broke up with my boyfriend, I was not sexually active, nothing went away, wasn't a disease, wasn't pregnancy, wasn't anything like that. And so it really just kind of freaked me out. I finally, after we broke up, I decided to get serious with myself. I was unemployed at the time. I did nothing but play video games and watch anime all day, and I did a 7-day, I think a 14-day juice fast, and I lost about 15 pounds. And the moment that I got under 210 pounds, I believe it was, or 215, my period came back. And I was like, oh my God, I had never been so excited for a period. I hate being on my period. I hate the moodiness, the cravings that I have. I hate everything about it. Who likes to bleed? I don't use tampons. I'm a pad user, and I find tampons uncomfortable, hard to use, and also don't like pads either. It's like wearing a nasty diaper. So yeah, that's that. So, but I was so happy to finally get it back. I was so grateful to God. And I didn't understand. It was like, why did this bring my period back? Is this a magic number for me? And what really drove me crazy was when I would read about, period stuff. It was always on something about trying to conceive, which again, like I said, I stupidly admittingly was back then. But not just that, it wasn't even just a matter of being able to conceive. I wanted to know that my body was normal and that I had control of my life and of my fertility. I wanted to know that if I ever wanted to have kids, I could do that. And that was really important for me. So it made me super, super happy, but it was really hard to talk about because it felt weird. Seeming too excited about it, I guess, probably seems strange. Like, oh, why do you care about your period? Once again, the judgmental factor in it. So anyway, even though my period came back, it was not completely normal. So my cycles were still irregular. I would have a period sometimes, other times I wouldn't. I eventually stopped my green smoothie, green juice fast or whatever. And, I did start fluctuating between my weight, but I never got up to 236 again, thank God. It took until I moved to Japan last year. So after I moved to Japan, weight just started falling off of me. I don't have a car here. I don't have parents to drive me around. I don't know how to ride a bike. I am always having to walk everywhere, all day. I walk literally 7 miles every day to get to and from work, on the train, going up and down flights of stairs, and the train stations here are huge. So I began just walking, constantly walking endlessly. There's a fly inside of here. But yeah, so I had no choice but to walk. Just walk, 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 walk. And food here is not as addictive. I don't think they really have much MSG, so not so many preservatives and chemicals. I do like Japanese food, and there's things that I absolutely love here, but there's nothing that I'm really like super addictive to, and I just have to keep eating. So anyway, yeah, weight just flew off of me, like constantly kept falling. It was flying off of me practically. And before I knew it, I was less than 200 pounds, and I couldn't believe it. I was at my boyfriend's house, and while he was gone at work, I stepped on the scale, and I was like, oh my god, I am 197. And before all of this stuff even happened, I was having periods every single month. They were actually normal. I think I skipped maybe 1 or 2 months. And so I went 2 months at one point without having a period last spring. And because of this, I was like, you know what? No, I am going to get my period back. And so I thought, like, hey, I have a, job now, I have a career, I'm making more money, I'm more stable in life, things are cheaper here for me. Why not finally try out clomid? And I know this is not what it's supposed to be used for, but I went onto the black market. I bought myself a whole bunch of pills for clomid, way more than what I needed. I probably spent about $200, but it was much cheaper than what you'd pay at a doctor's office. I didn't have to talk to anyone, ask any questions, etc. It was dangerous. I could have risked my life, hurt myself internally. It might not even been actual clomid pills. I know. I'm just telling you what I did and what worked for me. Anyway, I got the pills and I took them just as it was directed. I took them for I think 2 or 3 months, and instantly my cycles became completely normal, completely regulated. I had no more missed periods. I have not missed a period in over a year. I began taking them last year in April, and ever since then my cycles have been completely normal. And not only have they happened every month, now the days of them are normal too, the cycle length. So now my cycles vary between 28 to no more than 32 days. I have an average of a 30-day cycle. My period bleeding days are only 5. I have 3 heavy days, 1 light day, and then my last day, which I'm actually on my last day right now. I know TMI, practically nothing, just a little light brown, black spotting, if you will, just old dried up blood, and then it's been that way for over a year now, and I am super, super happy. And so it was really a combination of a few different things that I had to do. I think everyone's body is different. You have a magic weight that your body is like, look, you're too much of a fat ass, you're not gonna have a period, sorry. And that was definitely me. My body refused to have a menstrual cycle if I was anything over 210 to 215 pounds. I just would not bleed. Even after I dropped from 215, I got under there like 209, 210 or whatever, I would have a period sometimes, but it was still lengthy, and my cycles were not regular. It might take 40 days, it might be 60 days in between. There was no pattern. I never knew when to expect my period. I just always had to be on guard. And I would have times where I would just gush out blood, and that was really scary. I remember that happening. I was with my mom and my now ex-boyfriend in America at the bookstore, at a Christian bookstore, and this happened. And thank God I had on black pants. I ran to the bathroom and I folded up so much tissue to make a makeshift pad, but it was super embarrassing. But yeah, all of that instantly went away once I got under 210. But again, it still was irregular. I was having like 8-9 day long periods, and I never knew when to expect my cycle to begin. But after I came to Japan, I lost weight. But even then, I had some periods where I would still go a little bit of time without having, my cycle. But after I took clomid, I could actually feel when I was ovulating. It literally completely changed my period. I felt like a cramping and tingling like feeling, like I knew that I was releasing an egg. I could feel on which side, like which ovary it was. It was crazy. And I remember reading about women saying this, and I was like, how can you feel that you're ovulating or you're full of crap? But no, like it's so real. And I almost wanted to cry because I couldn't believe, like, wow, like I'm a woman, like my body, I'm normal. And so, yeah, it really changed everything. I had never had a 5-day cycle. The shortest cycle I ever had in America was when I first started. My periods used to last 7 days. I never had 5 days. And then for them to be in a pattern, my cervical mucus is completely normal. Like I can tell when I'm getting ready to ovulate. It's consistent with what they tell you online, the egg white mucus, around ovulation, etc., being dry. Everything just became completely normal. I had severe symptoms. Now I cramp. I have my normal cramps as usual. Sometimes they're really bad, but they only last for like a couple of days and then they're gone. Just use ibuprofen, eat. I really crave salty and chocolatey food around this time. During the time where I was bleeding heavily, I had cravings sometimes, but they weren't like how they are now. It was just probably me being a fat ass and not so much to do with cravings. But it really just changed everything about me, and I can see the difference. I can feel the difference in how my cycles are, and it really just made me so happy. I never thought I would be so excited to have a period. So my point is, I know that clomid is supposed to be used for getting pregnant. Excuse the plane. But I can guarantee you that clomid really, really does work. It really does regulate your cycles. And if you are trying to get pregnant, I highly recommend that you do try this out. I think that it can really help you. But again, you can't just rely on these pills. I know people have tried it and it didn't work. You have to lose weight. I didn't believe this at first. I kept telling myself, there are women, which is true, that are way fatter than me. And no offense, even my mom. So that have children, that have gotten pregnant. Why can't I? Why am I not having a period? But the thing is, you are not everyone else. You are a completely different, beautifully designed, and unique woman. You cannot base your life, your sexual life, your menstrual cycle, your womanhood off of another woman. It doesn't matter if you're family. It doesn't matter if you're friends. It doesn't matter how similar or close someone is, how close they are in weight to you. You have to try everything and figure out what works for you. I think it's the same thing as like hair. We all have different hair. We all have to figure out what works for our hair. You may wash your hair more than mine. I may wash my hair less than yours. Things like that. Different products that work for me won't work for you. Your period is the exact same way. So if you are struggling with your menstrual cycle, I highly recommend that you take multivitamins, you find a way to diet, exercise, lose weight. Again, video games saved my life. I craved food, like a ton of it, but I got to the point where I was just making like 2 to 3 really big smoothies. I would binge watch anime all day in video games, and I didn't even think about food. I was just so busy wondering what was going to happen in the next episode of Inuyasha. So it's embarrassing to say and talk about, and so weebish, lame, whatever, but it's true, and it really worked for me. And then coming to Japan and being forced to have to walk so much, walking, something that used to make me winded. Now I can walk 7 miles a day and I don't think anything of it. My legs are just fine. They don't hurt when I come home. I highly recommend that you get into just light exercise. It will make a difference. Find things that you enjoy and love to do. It will keep you busy and the weight will come off of you. And again, I'm still not at my goal weight. I went from a 1X to now I'm a size 12. So I still want to lose some more weight. But, you know, I'm actually happy, much more happier where I am right now. I would love to have a flat tummy, but I feel so much better about my body, about myself. I'm more confident, and I feel like a woman now that I have my period back again. So before you give up, before you throw in the towel, I highly recommend that you have, just rethink everything. Try to lose more weight. I lost weight. I lost 15 pounds. I didn't see myself as being that fat. I was very overweight, but I've seen people much bigger than I was, even friends who had already had children that were, almost twice my size or 40, 50 pounds more than me, but they had kids and they didn't have problems with their cycles. They were taking birth control and everything. Nothing worked for me until I got myself under 200 pounds and until I took clomid. Both of those things made a world of a difference in my life. I highly recommend that you find healthy things to eat. I found a really good amino acid, I believe it was, made by Bragg's. They have a really nice, I call it magic sauce. I spray it on my salads and it allowed me to actually eat salad quite a lot, and I started craving it in America. And that's what I used to get myself to 215 in combination, with juicing and watching anime. But after I was done juicing, I began really just eating salad. And so that really helped me a lot before I came here. But since I've come to Japan, I've lost, I think, another additional 30 pounds or so, if not more. So anyway, I highly recommend that you try out clomid. Again, I'm not trying to be your doctor. I'm not saying that this is going to work for you for sure, but I recommend that you try everything. weight loss and clomid and eating healthy will make a world of a difference in your journey for trying to conceive, weight loss, or just your overall health. Even if you don't want to have kids, you should care about your menstrual cycle. You should be concerned and worried about why your body is not normal, what's wrong. And unfortunately for me, my age played a factor. Nobody really cared because I was like 16, 17 years old. They're like, oh, you're young, you know, whatever. My pediatrician did care, and he was like, oh, you should have regular cycles by now. But his recommendation was really just birth control, which both me and my mother was against doing. Everybody has their own opinions, own preferences and choices. I'm just saying that I personally don't like the idea of using birth control. If you choose to go that route, cool, but not for me. Anyway, so yeah, there's different options for you to use. Try everything out. Don't knock it till you try it. You might decide that you like birth control. Maybe that'll do it for you. So again, just giving my little story. Multivitamins do start your period. They do make you bleed, but it was not normal for me. Weight loss will regulate your cycles. You might not actually have PCOS, and I do recommend that you try out clomid. It will help regulate your cycles. I don't even take it anymore, and my cycles have been completely normal every single month ever since then. So do not think the worst. I really want to kill that fly. Do not get all crazy and think you have every disease that WebMD tells you. You're probably just fine. You're probably just overweight. So yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for this long ranty video. I will link everything that I mentioned down below, and I will see you in my next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions about what I used or what I did, please feel free to ask and or share your stories or links to your videos below. Maybe you will help somebody else out. Maybe you have information in regards to stuff that you use and things that work for you. So again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.